because I want it here. Awesome. Welcome to Unschooling Conversations. This episode, I am joined by Naomi, and we are going to chat with you about our parent-child relationships and our children's mental health. And Naomi here is going to talk us through that. And it is a real pleasure to have her here. Naomi, would you like to introduce yourself?
Sure, thank you, Heidi. Hi, everyone. I'm an NLP for Kids practitioner working with families, parents, children and young people to identify unhealthy and unhelpful thoughts, feelings, values, beliefs and behaviours, which can show themselves in different ways. So this could be seen in anger, lack of confidence, depression, inability to manage emotions, challenges in communication and relationships, low self-esteem, social anxiety, phobias and barriers to learning. I work in a number of ways, online or in person, through one-to-one therapeutic sessions, parent workshops and teachers' workshops. I work with children as young as 4, right up to late teens, and also with adults. In my one-to-one sessions, I use NLP techniques and questions to identify a challenge or problem, the language that is being used to describe it, and any habits or patterns that have become consistent and are causing problems. We then shake up these and move towards change by empowering states, feelings, thoughts and behaviours that are positive and healthy. So I work in a number of ways, online or in person. And I also deliver parent workshops where we explore how to communicate and connect well with each other within our family unit and the language we can use to do this well. I am also a tutor and a safeguarding officer within the Methodist Church, working in areas of abuse, inclusion, solidarity and dignity, and promoting safe cultures. I am a parent of 2 children, Matthew and Sophie. Matthew is 20 and Sophie is 17.
Oh, that's lovely. I love hearing about your children at the end there. The reason I think this is going to be like a really good episode, and the things that we're going to chat to is a lot of the parents that I work with have had children whose mental health has been really affected specifically by school. And you know, I know that you are able to come in and support families in sort of repairing some of their relationships with their children, because the dynamics and family culture that you talked about has been affected by their experiences. And specifically, the children are often in what we might call like a state of burnout, or there's this mental health, there's this response to what's been going on around them that's actually having a really big impact on their lives and their families' lives. So I'm really keen to hear a little bit more about what it is you do. Hang on for the next question. I had written them down and then I've lost them. So I was going to ask you what NLP is. Like, what does it stand for, to start with? And tell us a little bit more about how that's able to help our children.
Okay, so to kind of frame this a bit better, I'll talk a little bit about how I got into working for NLP for Kids. And then I'll go on to explain how NLP works and what NLP actually stands for. So I have been working in schools for about 26 years, progressing through to team leader and then deputy head teacher, with the responsibility for personal and behavioural development.
Can I interject just for 1 minute, just before people turn off? because a lot of families, I mean, I'm an ex-teacher, and a lot of families I work with hear the teacher element and they kind of go, oh no, we don't want to go there. Hang on, people, it gets really good. Okay, so don't turn off, keep listening. I haven't brought in anybody to upset any families. You know, this is to help and support you guys. So hang on and keep listening. Sorry to interrupt, Naomi.
That's all right. That's absolutely fine. I understand. Yeah. So working in school, I was in charge of personal development and behavioural development. And I had been searching for some time for a more insightful and meaningful approach to helping children and young people develop into what we want as parents as well, not just anyone who works with your children, into confident, curious, independent, reflective, creative, responsible and respectful human beings. That's what we're aiming for, isn't it? But I had observed that some of the mental health and wellbeing interventions and programmes being taught had a focus on teaching calming techniques and identifying what negative and positive feelings are, without any explanation really, or exploration with the children of what they might be learning, why they might be learning these, and what connection this would have on their bodies and the way they are thinking, and how this leads us all to behave in certain ways. So, as we all know, how we think about ourselves, our own thoughts and feelings have a big impact on how we behave and communicate. Sometimes those thoughts and feelings are super helpful, and other times they might stop us functioning in a healthy way, or a way that would be better for us. So after doing some researching and looking around, I came across NLP for Kids and trained to be an NLP for Kids practitioner under the wonderful Gemma Bailey, who is our company director. And I have to say, the tools and techniques used within these are fantastic and they work brilliantly. So that's kind of how I landed as being an NLP for Kids practitioner. I'll move on now to what NLP is.
Yes.
So NLP is an art and a science. It is largely based on the idea the sensory information around us is translated into thoughts and ideas that affect our state, our physiology and behaviour, and therefore the results that we get. So it was developed in the early 1970s by Richard Bandler and John Grinder, who studied excellence within the field of therapy. Their main studies were of Milton Erickson, who was responsible for bringing hypnosis to the clinical world, Virginia Satir, who was a family therapist, and Fritz Perls, who founded the Gestalt therapy. They also drew upon the work of linguistics, anthropologists, and psychoanalysis. So NLP stands for neuro-linguistic programming. So neuro refers to our nervous system. It's the way in which we gather and process important information that we get from our senses. So sight, hearing, touch, smell, and taste. The linguistic part is the language and other non-verbal systems through which our internal representations are coded, ordered, and given meaning. We use language all the time to describe pictures, sounds, feelings, taste, smells, and words, and some of that will be our self-talk as well. Programming describes how we run patterns and strategies in our neurology to achieve our specific and desired outcomes. So we all have a series of patterns and strategies for all that we do. For example, Heidi, I'm just going to ask you a few questions about how you got up this morning.
Okay.
So what did you do to get yourself sat in front of me this morning? What did you have to do?
I got out of bed.
Uh-huh.
Put the kettle on.
Mm-hmm.
Had a shower. Had some toast. Oh, I had to move my laptop because I'm not in my usual spot. So regular listeners will notice this isn't my usual background. So yeah, I had to purposely remember to move all my stuff ready for our meeting down here. I think that was everything.
Great. So there are some things that you would have had to think about, that you consciously had to say, I'm doing this, but there were other things that would have been unconscious. So, for example, did you wake up this morning and think, I need to start breathing?
No.
Did you wake up this morning and think, I need to open my eyes?
No.
Okay, it might be this morning that you might have consciously or unconsciously go to brush your teeth. Okay, so depending on probably that might have been a little bit more unconscious.
That this morning, normally that would have been unconscious, but this morning it was a very conscious thing because of the time that, anyway, because of logistics in my house, I had to use a different bathroom this morning. So I had to make some very conscious choices about where everything was and check I had a towel and move my toothbrush. It was I had a thought through process this morning, but I would say normally, no.
It's an unconscious thing. Okay, so our unconscious mind represents our present awareness and rational thinking. So it encompasses those thoughts, feelings, and perceptions that we are actively aware of at any given moment. So it plays a crucial role in decision making, critical thinking, and problem solving. The conscious mind enables us to analyse situations, apply logic, and make deliberate choices. The unconscious mind, on the other hand, refers to the vast realm of thoughts, memories, emotions, and beliefs that exist beyond our conscious awareness. So it operates outside our immediate awareness, but still has an influence on our thoughts, behaviours, and experiences. So the unconscious mind stores deep-seated beliefs, past experiences, and automatic responses. It is a bit like the reservoir of our habits, emotions, and instincts. So you know that feeling, Heidi, when you might have driven somewhere, which is a regular drive for you or a regular route, and you arrive at your destination and you wonder how you got there, and you can't quite remember the journey.
Okay. I do remember that. I do know that feeling very well.
I think we all do that, don't we? It's a bit scary at times.
It is a bit scary. You kind of think, did I notice any other vehicles on the way?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
I'm hoping you're going to tell me this is normal and it's all okay.
So because it's a regular journey, it's become a habit, and that means that your mind has been able to think of other things. So it's kind of become unconscious for us. So when we start to learn something new, a new pattern that we have to think about, we consciously have to take the steps to run this new pattern. But once we have learned it and we have practiced it over and over again, it becomes conscious and it becomes a habit. So I'll talk through now a little bit about the steps that we would take within a therapeutic session to help our families and children.
Yeah, that would be lovely. You've got a session coming up, which I know you're going to share with us. So this will be really valuable for people who want to know what to expect when within your session. So, but we'll talk a bit more later about the one that you're running soon. But yeah, this would be great.
Brilliant. Okay, so to start off with, we identify with a child or young person their model of the world, so their story of it and how it might be a problem for them. We then go on to ask questions about it and identify what it is that is making that child or young person want to move away from that problem. Okay, so we work together to identify what they want to change, how that might be how they are thinking, they are feeling, or behaviour, or it might be a mixture of all three of them. And what this change would look like, not just for them, but for others around them and the relationships that they have with others as well. And this then helps us to set a goal to work towards. Next, we would use questions to interrupt the limiting pattern that they have. So again, this could be a thought pattern, a feeling pattern, or a behavioural pattern that is causing the problem. And it provides time through these questions as well to explore the cause and effect that that thought, feeling, behaviour is having on themselves and on others. We would then move to reframe the problem and show them the real problem in solvable terms and how simple and straightforward it can be to move this problem around. For example, if a child is always demanding attention using defiance or anger, we would work with the child and their family to make sure that the child gets attention in more healthy or positive ways. This might be through more time spent together and the way in which they communicate with each other. So together, using the NLP tools and techniques, we would generate new, more empowering alternatives that create the same benefits, needing that attention, but it's in a positive way. So another example might be changing a belief that they have about themselves. So they still have a belief, but instead of that belief that is stopping them from doing something, it's a belief that they can do something. So Heidi, I'm going to do a little example of one of the techniques that we might use to
need me
demonstrate
again.
this. I do need you
I
again.
am busy taking notes. I'm not. I can see people are probably thinking Heidi's falling asleep. I'm not. I'm really interested in what you're saying, and I'm hoping others listening are too. And they're busy taking notes, so I'm just busy taking notes. Yes, I'm all yours. What can I do for you?
Brilliant,
Your
brilliant.
guinea pig.
Okay, so what I'd like you to do then is I'd like you to close your eyes and I'd like you to imagine a door. Tell me the colour of that door.
White.
White. Okay, I'd like you now to open that door. Okay, open your eyes. Were you able to open that door?
Yes.
Okay, close your eyes. Tell me the colour of a different colour this time of a door.
Red.
Red. Okay, so I want you now in your imagination to try, really, really, really try to open that door again. Okay, open your eyes. Were you able to open that door?
Can't open the door. That's
So,
crazy.
so what words could you see which word I used there, which meant that you
Yes.
weren't
You
able
kept
to open
telling
the
me
door?
to try. Yes, really try. I did
Absolutely.
really try. I tried.
Sure you did. So that is an example of the way in which a word, just one single word that we use, can give us a kind of belief in ourselves of whether we are able to do something or not.
It's like magic. I'm going to think about that all day. And actually thinking about it, like that's not new information to me. Like the way that my family works and the way that families that I work with works. We talk a lot about the language that we use and the way that we approach conversations, or just words and phrases in our families and households. We talk a lot about declarative language and using declarative language instead of demanding language. So so I'm very aware of that impact of words, but that's a very good way of demonstrating it. And I'm going to go away and think about that all day in that sort of, that's magic. How did she do that?
And once you get into the habit of it as well, using that word, you kind of use it all the time, and you just need to step back and kind of go, oh, okay.
Yeah.
This is a word that I'd perhaps be better if I wasn't using that, particularly when we are trying to guide, and I've just used it, haven't I? Trying to. We are guiding our children in either their learning of understanding of a new concept or an idea.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I've written down magic in big letters. Oh, so yeah, thank you for talking us through that. I've written so many notes, and I'm going to just for a note for myself, really, I am going to ask you to send me the names of those people that you said when you were talking about, where the research came from and such the like. I started writing down the names as you said them, but I think if you could send them to me, because
Sure.
I know a lot of the people that listen to my podcast are really good at doing their own research and really going into the depth of things, and you've given us a lot of information there, and a lot to really kind of go, oh, this is really fascinating and interesting. And I know people will want to go off, and this is me Googling. If people not listening, I'm typing on a keyboard in the air that looks like I'm doing air piano. So yeah. Where have we got to? How can I wanted to ask you about how this would really benefit families, but I'm hoping that just listening to you talking, people can just begin to see how this really aligns with an unschooling approach in terms of the shift that we make in helping support our children's mental health and well-being, rather than always focusing on their academics, that we're trying to create an environment where our children feel safe and nurtured, and where we are supporting them towards something that's healthier and better, which from an unschooling perspective actually means that they're then in a better place to learn. Their learning can be much more optimal because they're not constantly fighting, you know, burnout and other such things. So I'm really that's my take on what the benefits of this would be, and it gives some very like a really systematic and practical way, a really tangible way of making those steps forwards, rather than sitting and sort of waiting for you know some you know things to happen in their own time. It equips parents to be able to support that with their children. You talked a little bit there about how you would work with children, but I know you've got an actual workshop for parents coming up. And again, from my point of view, a lot of the children that I work with are sort of not in a position to maybe engage. Maybe parents do have, but a lot of the children I work with aren't in a position to engage themselves. But I know you've got workshops specifically for parents coming up. So did you want to tell us a little bit about those, and how those can actually then support this and the children in this, like in the same way, but specifically working with parents?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So I know from being a parent myself that being able to connect and communicate well with your children does build positive relationships, and being able to respond better to their developing behaviours. So, you know, our children are changing all the time as they are growing up, and their developing needs is what we strive to do as parents. And, you know, we want to help our children make connections in their learning, to build curiosity and to build personally in positive ways, and to be able to live respectfully within the world that we live in, and the communities that we live in, and the family unit that we live in. So at times this can go well, but we all know that life throws things at us. Things happen, and challenges happen. And that can also have an impact on the way that we think about ourselves and the way that we behave and communicate to others. And that can be, as you said, following a experience which hasn't been a particularly nice one as a child, but also as an adult as well. And that can have an impact on our children. So we do know that children and young people learn about the world around them by copying and mirroring, and particularly within the homeschool environment, you know, copying you and mirroring you is what children are going to be doing all the time, whether you like it or not. They are going to be watching what you are doing. So they are learning from you all the time. Children also learn through stories and language. And again, the language that you are using within the home environment is going to have an impact on them. And they also learn through play and imagination. And through these ways, they quickly start to build their own beliefs, purpose, behaviour, ways of communicating, and their own wants and needs and their own identity. So personal habits, developments, use of language, communication skills are developing in different ways. So in my parent workshops, I will be focusing on learning how to communicate and connect well with each other within the family unit, types of language that help us to communicate and connect well with each other, learning how problems meet our needs and how to create successful relationships with your children. So it's not a case with NLP that we say you've got that need, you can't have that need anymore. We need to identify what that need is, and then we need to make sure that that need is being met in a positive way, or a way in which is the best for our children. So it's a process of identifying things that aren't working well, and perhaps the next steps that we can take that are much more positive. It's building your confidence as a parent, and how to build confidence within your children. It's learning how to build self-esteem, motivation, positive self-talk, and positive emotional states as well. So to sum up, it's all about how to communicate well, to connect well, and to model positive states, thoughts, and behaviours for your children, so that when they're mirroring and copying what you are doing, they are seeing that and learning from you.
That's really lovely. I want to come. I've just decided I'm coming.
You'll be very welcome.
I'm in. I don't know what I was going to say. Never mind. It'll come to me once I've stopped pressing record, obviously, because that's how things go. Is there anything else that you'd like to share with us about the work, or any aspect of it that you think I must tell people about this, and Heidi hasn't asked me?
I think I'd say this is a particular specific technique that we use for change that I'm going to talk a little bit about, and this just works brilliantly. So we have a technique called anchoring, and it's a very, very quick technique that changes the state that the child might be in. So in this technique, the child is asked to choose somewhere on their body. Often this is a knuckle or a palm of the hand, where they would like to install the anchor, but it's somewhere where they don't use it if they're anxious, and it's somewhere perhaps that they press when they're anxious. So it's somewhere that's a clean space. It doesn't have to be the hand, it could be somewhere else, but we tend to find that hands can be a place where it's discreet and they can use it at any time. I would then ask the child a number of questions about the feelings that they would like to install to replace the negative feelings and thoughts that they have. And I would go on to check that they had a strong memory from the past of when they felt this positive feeling, and talk through how we are going to install the anchor. I will then guide them to bring back those memories from the past when they had that positive thought. And I have to guide them because recalling memories tend to fade in and fade out. So we ask the child to press their knuckle or their anchor, wherever it is, at the time when the memory is the most intense. And that's usually anyway between 5 to 9 seconds. It might be a little bit longer. So I would then ask the child if they'd like to keep their eyes open or closed, and guide them back to that memory, hearing the sounds that they heard, seeing what they saw, and any words that they might have said to themselves at the time. I often know, in fact, I was using this last week with one of my clients, that the anchor is strong enough because the physiology of that child will change. So when they are recalling that memory from the past, that positive emotion, often I see a child who perhaps is leaning forward and their shoulders are all hunched up. You can see that their shoulders relax. You can see that their breathing changes. You can see that their face is more relaxed. And you can see actually that their whole body is much more relaxed as well. So we would do this 3 times, installing a different positive emotion that relates with the others that are installed. After we have installed those 3, we would then what we call break state, by talking about something completely different, what they had for lunch or whatever it is they're perhaps particularly interested in. And then we guide them back to that anchor to make sure that it is strong enough. And I would guide them through going back and getting those memories and feelings and that state again. And then during the week, before I see the child the next week, I would ask them to practice this when they start to feel that anxiety or whatever it is, that negative emotion or state again. So they are practicing it, and it's becoming a something that is kind of becomes natural to them, really. And there are all sorts of anchors. Anchors are really interesting, and you can use this in any situation. So I know that perhaps when adults are presenting, they might have somewhere particular on their hands that they kind of press that anchors them. We can have other anchors. Children in particular have other anchors that are physical. They might have a favourite blanket or a favourite teddy, something that anchors them and gives them that sort of calm feeling as well. But I would talk about, and you would learn more about how to use anchors within your home, within our parents' workshop.
Do you know, I'm going to do some shameless promotion for myself, because what I love about that is it's that body connection to what's going on. So it's not just about what we're experiencing, you know, in our reality in that time and space. It's about what we remember, and it's making that a body connection to that. And in my membership, we have every month we have what we call a self-care circle, but it's specifically for parents, and it's about how we are taking care of ourselves when we are living with our children 24/7. Not to make it sound like living with our children 24/7 is really difficult, but there's definitely a lack of space, maybe physical actual space, and there is often a lack of time to ourselves, should we say. So we've, in the membership I have, we very purposely have one session a month together that's just for the adults, and this is the sort of thing we do in those sessions. We bring in different techniques that actually we can use during our day. So like, we don't need to have what might be called traditional self-care, which I'm not very keen on the idea. Well, I mean, I do like the idea of a weekend away, but you know, it's not very practical. But things we can integrate into our lives that actually help to regulate us and to just be the best that we can. And we quite often bring in this aspect of, like, what does that feel like in my body? Or you know, like the anchoring. I've never heard it called anchoring before, but definitely techniques that I would say are similar. Just that awareness that our body and our emotions and our memories like is all connected and can affect and have an impact on our day to day.
Yeah. And you know, I mean, I know as well, I'm a bit of a chocolate fan, that if I go into the kitchen and I say to myself, I shouldn't be eating chocolate, I don't need chocolate, I'm saying to myself, my unconscious mind is saying, give me the chocolate, where is it? Because I am repeating that word chocolate. So with the anchoring, if you're going into a situation and you're saying to yourself, I mustn't be anxious, your unconscious mind is picking up on that anxious and going, oh, anxious, anxiety, right, and starts looking for it. So with the anchoring, it is training your mind to focus on the positive emotions and those thoughts and those memories.
Yeah, it's really interesting, and definitely I find it all fascinating. I've written so many notes today. I'm gonna have to, don't know, I'm gonna have to write you a long list of things to say, please tell me more about this and more about that. I know you've written a blog post for me as well, so people can definitely go and like read more about the things that you've spoken about here. There's obviously the show notes if people want to have a look in there, which will include spaces that they can find you and ways to contact you as well. And of course, you've got the parenting workshop coming up. Did you want to tell us about the dates and times for that?
Yeah, absolutely.
So people have got it.
Will do. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Okay, so the parent workshops will be on the 18th and 25th of July. And they will be from 7 o'clock to 8:30. So the course will include presentation, discussion time, and a course workbook as well.
Brilliant. And as I said, you know, they can we'll find the details in the show notes and the links and the links to that. And I'm
And if
really
anyone's got any
glad.
questions, you can see just here, Naomi at nlpforkids.org.
You're
That's my
pointing on the
email.
wrong side of the screen.
Oh, am
You
I?
need to go
Oh,
the
yeah,
other,
there I am.
no, other side.
It's the
I don't know.
opposite, isn't
It's
it?
there somewhere.
Do
It's
get in
there
contact.
somewhere.
I would love to hear from you. And just to say also, if there's anyone who's listening to this who would like to have a free consultation, so I offer a free
Oh,
phone
yes.
consultation initially to talk through what the problem or challenge might be, and then we can arrange a free Zoom or in-person consultation with your child or your young person, and then we can take from there, and you can decide if you'd like to book further sessions in.
Yeah,
But those are
brilliant.
both
That's worth
free.
mentioning because
Mhm,
I know I've talked about workshop a lot, but actually
mhm,
if you don't want to join others, or you know you want to talk about something a bit more personal and you don't want to be in a group,
mhm,
or you can't make those sessions, for
mhm.
example, yes, Naomi has
Absolutely.
got options for you as well. Now, um, we talked about you talked about conscious and unconscious mind, and the next podcast episode after this one is talking about conscious parenting, in which we talk about very similar things
Mhm,
in terms of all the things we do as parents that are unconscious, all those things
mhm,
that we're not even really aware of. It's just culturally how we've been
mhm,
brought up, and it's a habit. We've just done it without giving it any conscious thought.
mhm,
And the lovely Sarah, who I talked to in that episode, her work brings those things into the light to make them conscious, and to then walk us through questioning and analysing those things, and taking a real proper look at what we're doing, and why, instead of just daydreaming, not even daydreaming, unconsciously walking through our parenting um, without considering those things. So it's a really
mhm.
nice, that's a really nice link
It really
the
is.
next, it is to the next episode. Thank you, Naomi. It's been really
Oh,
lovely to have you
it's been an absolute pleasure,
join
Heidi.
us
Thank you so
today.
much.